Well, hello there. This is Virtual Chess Noob learning and having fun with chess. In this game, my opponent played a rather unusual opening, and clearly they knew some theory in this opening and did really well. However, I managed to win in the middle game with a brilliant rook sacrifice. Let's go take a look. I've got the black pieces, and my opponent from India in the 1200s played the Kruijs Opening, e3. Now, this is not the best opening, and yet at the same time, there's nothing terribly wrong with it. It's a sort of defensive opening. It does give some advantage, give away some of the advantage, but it's about 0-0-0. I know no theory, so let's try to take the center. e5. This is surprisingly one of the best moves in this opening. So white in the 1200s from India clearly knows some theory. Take the full center. d5. They now push. I defend with, with the knight. They attack with another knight, and here I push forward attacking their knight. Their knight now comes back attacking that piece, and keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on these pawns, because white manages to really get an advantage in the opening. Look at the time. They know all these moves off by heart. I develop the other knight, they develop a bishop, I develop my bishop, and now they strike out with c4, attacking here. So I wasn't sure whether or not dealing with the tension and then allowing them to capture back with one of their pieces with development was the right move. So I decided to keep the tension. That was apparently a mistake. Now I decided to instead develop my bishop, thinking that if they captured this way, I could capture back. This was not the right approach, because now they developed the other knight, double attack here. I'm in some trouble. I decided just to get my king out of there with short castles, but you can see Stockfish reckoned that I needed to do something about the tension. I just couldn't see that as the right move, given that, that pawn looks like it could, potentially fork my pieces. They now capture, I take back with the knight, and of course, I hang that pawn. And white is straight up a clean pawn. So about, here, plus 0.6, about +1. I knew that they got the better of me in this opening. Look at this, 16 minutes, 11 in a 50-minute game with 10-second increment. They knew this off by heart. I decide to now bring that bishop back, 2 squares away from the knight is often good. Let's see what happens. Queen out, all right. I strike out with f5 attacking that knight. Their knight moves back. And here, thinking about my last game, which I showed on the video on Monday, I was thinking, is it possible, to potentially get another Greek gift sacrifice? I kept thinking about that, and I think I actually got a little bit of tunnel vision here. So I bring the knight back thinking of this potential maneuver. And of course, Greek gift sacrifices, sometimes they're available, sometimes they're not. And if you try to push it too much, you're going to ignore what's actually happening on the board. They developed, they moved this knight this way. So here we go, bishop here, thinking about the Greek gift, but, it doesn't really work. You can see Stockfish reckoned that either moving the king to the corner or maybe the queen to the e file was better. The king to the corner is about prophylactically getting it off this diagonal, I think. Here they push a pawn, that's fine. Takes. Do I take this way? I decided not to. I decided to go this way, because I thought, no, that pins the queen. However, the queen does have this potential, of course, get out of jail card anyway with check. They captured here. I think they were trying to do something tricky, that if I took with the rook, they would now have a very, very nice skewer with that bishop. I did see that, and in any case, I thought queen here in the battery down the f-file was better anyway. So queen captures the knight. Now they give check. Obviously got to move my king out of the way. I saw that they were attacking b7. But in my mind, just from a heuristic point of view, given that sort of all the action is probably on the king side, I thought that queen captures b7 was possibly actually a bad move for white, even though they win a point of material. I couldn't prove it. It's just this a sense I had. Now, they did take that pawn, and it is, in fact, you can see a mistake, about minus 1.5, despite the fact that the queen has won a point of material. This is, I think, about the queen just being in the wrong place. Now, I decided to move my knight out of the attack. You can see that was apparently an inaccuracy. Stockfish reckoned that actually moving the bishop here out of the way was potentially better. Very, very interesting. They capture. I now capture with the queen. And you can see the engine here now sees a very, very surprising line. I just want to show it because sometimes Stockfish, the engine, can find completely inhuman lines. So here, Stockfish reckons that the best move for black is bishop to c8, attacking the queen. But, you know, it looks like, isn't that straight up hanging? Well, apparently the queen can't take that rook and should, in fact, come back in that position. That's very interesting. And part of this is, of course, there is a straight up attack here with check. So here, bishop here attacking the queen. Queen now takes, and now queen captures, king forced to move over here or here, and now captures, king forced again, another check, and, you know, the chess continues. And here, white is up a full piece, so +3 in material, and yet the evaluation is about minus 1.5. I would say that this is a absolutely scary looking position for black to play, despite the fact that on evaluation perspective, it's a little bit better. So I would say this is quite an inhuman line. Now let's move back. There we go. So in this position, I definitely did not see that move. I thought this was a very natural move. I took that knight, and here white decides to short castles, kingside. So I was very happy with that because I saw all these diagonals with my diagonal looking pieces. But the reason that this is a blunder is because in this position, which is something I didn't actually see in the game, I have queen to e5, immediate mate threat, and also a fork attacking the bishop on e2. So this straight up wins that bishop, and that's why that was a blunder. However, I did not see that, and I decided to play bishop to e4 instead, thinking that maybe there was something there. So here we're almost back to equality. Now the queen jumps back off, obviously, because it was also attacking that square. Here I decide to give another attack on the queen. I couldn't quite see what was happening. You can see Stockfish reckoned that I should punch a hole in the white king's defenses. I was looking at these moves, but I just couldn't see it working. And basically the logic here, let's move back, is to punch a hole, and we still have this tactic of the fork of mate and attacking the bishop on e2. So that's the logic there. So king now moves, so the queen now moves to c2. For white, their tactic had to be trying to trade queens to take away my attack. I now bring the rook, so rook a e8, attacking here. And now white plays ostensibly a very sensible looking move. So bishop to e3, attacking the queen. You know, that bishop is ostensibly defended by the pawn on f2. However, you can see a blunder, but only a blunder if I find the right move. I thought a while, and I found it. Rook captures the bishop, sacrifice. Brilliant move. Because here, after takes, I capture back with check. They can't block this way because, you know, the queen will take. So king now forced in the corner, and now rook f2. What are you going to do? Very, very, very scary here. So they take, capture the rook, and look at that, these two bishops control both of those pawns. The queen's going to come chomping down. Looks like it's checkmate territory. Almost is. And now it is. They decided they had to defend the g2 pawn with the rook, but that was the wrong piece. It had to be with the bishop. Now in this game, the best and quickest way to checkmate, so the mate in 4, is queen to f4. Here, that mate is unstoppable because this pawn is pinned to the king. And so pretty much the only thing white can do now is to give some spite checks. So give check, take, give another check, king comes back, and basically then it's mate. However, in this game, I didn't see, whoops, what did I do? Yep, there we go. I didn't see that move, and instead I decided to play bishop captures the pawn on d2, and my logic here was if the king captures, then that is mate. However, in this game, I think white saw that, decided to move that bishop, and then immediately resigned because then they saw, oh wait a minute, that is mate as well. Good game, GG. The big takeaway from this game is to look out for and calculate potential sacrificial moves. Most of them won't work out, but if you never look for them, you will never find the occasional brilliant move. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.